My name is Lillian Hayes, and the last thing I remember before the ICU was the sound of my father's voice telling me I was an embarrassment. Then the impact. Then nothing. When I opened my eyes again, the world was white and quiet. Machines hummed beside me, steady and indifferent. My body felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. My mother stood at the foot of the bed. Not crying. Not relieved. Just distant. "You made us look bad," she said coldly. I stared at her, confused. Broken. I couldn't even sit up. But somehow, I was still the problem. She didn't touch me. Didn't ask if I was okay. She just adjusted her purse on her shoulder like this was an inconvenience she needed to move past. 2 days later, my father didn't visit. He didn't call. He didn't ask about my condition. He sent a letter instead. "You are no longer welcome in this house." 13 years old. Disowned. Not because of what I did. Because of what he had done. I left the hospital with a stranger who didn't know my favorite color, didn't know my voice, didn't know me at all. And for years, I told myself one thing to survive. I would never need them again. But life has a way of circling back. And one day, their perfect world started breaking, and suddenly, they remembered my name. The foster home smelled like laundry detergent and distance. Nothing was mine. Not the bed. Not the walls. Not even the name on the mailbox. I learned quickly how to exist without asking for space, how to shrink into silence so no one would have a reason to send me somewhere else. They never called. Not on birthdays. Not on holidays. Not even when the scars across my ribs healed into something permanent. It was like I had never existed at all. At 14, I stopped waiting. At 15, I stopped wondering why. At 16, I stopped saying their names in my head. I built myself out of absence. I studied harder than anyone else. Worked jobs no one else wanted. Saved every dollar like it was oxygen. I stopped believing in rescue. Stopped believing anyone would ever choose me without conditions. By 18, I had something they never gave me. Independence. No help. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just survival. Years passed. Quiet ones. Until one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something inside me paused. I answered without speaking. A man's voice cracked through the silence. "Lillian, it's your father." He sounded different. Not powerful. Not certain. Just desperate. And for the first time in years, he wasn't calling to erase me. He was calling because he needed me. I didn't answer him. Not at first. I let the silence sit between us like the years he had stolen. "Lillian," he said again, softer this time. "Please don't hang up." I hadn't spoken yet, but he already sounded afraid. Afraid of losing something he had thrown away without hesitation. "What do you want?" I asked finally. My voice didn't sound like his daughter's. It sounded like a stranger's. He hesitated. "Our situation has changed," he said. "Changed." The word felt small compared to what he had done. I stared out the window of my apartment, the one I paid for myself. The one no one could take from me. "Your mother is sick," he continued. "And the business, it's not doing well." The business. The same business he had chosen over me. The same reputation he had protected while I lay in an ICU bed alone. He exhaled slowly. "We need to talk." Need. Not want. Not miss. Need. For years, he had erased me to protect his image. Now that image was cracking. And suddenly I mattered again. But he didn't know something yet. The girl he had abandoned never came back. Only the woman he created did. I didn't agree to meet him right away. I let him wait. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. For years, I had waited for something from him. An apology, an acknowledgement, a sign that I had mattered. Now the waiting belonged to him. He called again 2 days later. "Lillian," he said, his voice thinner than I remembered. "The company is collapsing. There are debts. People asking questions." I said nothing, because I already understood what he wasn't saying. His reputation was slipping. The same reputation he had chosen over me. "We've made mistakes," he added carefully. Mistakes. Not violence. not abandonment, just mistakes. I sat at my kitchen table, fingers resting on the surface I had paid for with years of silent endurance. "What do you want from me?" I asked. He hesitated, then finally said it. "You're still family." The words felt foreign. Family hadn't visited me in the ICU. Family hadn't sent me away. Family hadn't erased me to protect appearances. Family hadn't watched me disappear without looking back. "I'm not your solution," I replied calmly. He didn't argue, because deep down he knew he wasn't calling his daughter. He was calling the person who had survived him. He asked to meet me in person. Not at the house. Not at his office. At a small cafe halfway across the city, like he was afraid of being seen with me in the places that once defined his authority. I arrived first. I chose a table near the window, sunlight cutting across the wood like something honest. When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked smaller. Not physically weaker, just emptied. Like the certainty he had lived behind had finally collapsed. "Lillian," he said, stopping a few feet away. I didn't stand. I didn't hug him. I just watched him struggle to exist in the same space as the person he had erased. He sat slowly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he reached into his jacket and slid an envelope across the table. "I kept this," he said quietly. Inside was a hospital photo. Me, 13. Unconscious. Broken. Proof. Proof he had seen what he did. Proof he had known. "I thought protecting everything else mattered more," he admitted. I looked at the photo. At the girl who had learned survival before she learned safety. "You were wrong," I said calmly. He nodded. Not arguing. Because for the first time, he couldn't hide from the truth anymore. He didn't try to defend himself. He didn't justify it. He just sat there, staring at his hands like they no longer belonged to him. "The business is failing," he said quietly. "Your mother's treatment is expensive. We've lost almost everything." I listened without reacting. Not because I didn't understand struggle, but because I had lived it alone. For years. "I know I don't deserve your help," he continued, but I didn't know where else to go. The words hung in the air between us. Not an apology, a confession. He wasn't calling because he loved me. He was calling because he had run out of options. I folded my hands calmly on the table. "You didn't run out of options," I said. "You ran out of control." He looked up at me, stunned. Because no one had ever spoken to him like that before. Not his employees. Not his friends. Not his family. But I wasn't his family anymore. I was the person he created when he chose pride over love. "I survived without you," I continued quietly. "You don't get to return now that it's convenient." His face broke in a way I had never seen. Not angry, not proud, just exposed. Because for the first time, he understood. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He was asking for mercy. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. For the first time in his life, my father had nothing left to stand behind. "I think about that day," he said quietly. "Every day." I didn't respond. Because thinking about it now didn't change the girl who had woken up alone. "I told myself you were stronger than other children," he continued. "That you would survive it." Survive it. Like survival was something he had given me. Like it wasn't something I had built alone from the ruins he created. "I was wrong," he whispered. The words felt heavier than anything he had said before. Not because they healed anything, but because they confirmed something I had always known. He had chosen himself. And now, he was living with what that choice had cost him. He looked at me carefully. "I don't expect you to forgive me." I met his eyes. "Good," I said calmly. "Because forgiveness isn't what you need." He didn't ask what I meant. He already understood. Forgiveness would have freed him, but truth would make him live with it. And truth doesn't disappear just because someone finally admits it. He called again the next morning, not to ask for money, not to ask for help, just to hear my voice. I didn't answer, not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally understood something he never had. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. Later that day, I opened the envelope again and looked at the hospital photo. The machines, the fragile body, the girl who had no one. I didn't hate her. I didn't pity her. I respected her because she survived something that was never supposed to happen. My phone buzzed once more. A voicemail. His voice quiet. "I'm sorry, Lillian." I listened to it once. Then I deleted it. Not to erase him. To release myself. He thought calling me back would give him a chance to rewrite the ending. But the ending had never belonged to him. It belonged to the girl who walked out of that hospital and built a life without him. And the woman she became never needed him to survive.